Hello, this is Ed, and welcome to another session of my podcast. Today's podcast, I will be talking about super memory and speed reading. The reason why I want to share and talk about this right now is because 2 days ago, I went to this seminar which was about memory techniques, or it was about really improving the way you learn, the way you you memorize things, and as well as improve your reading speed. I cannot really say the name of the program right now because, of course, I just really want to avoid names from companies at the moment. But basically, I went to the seminar. There was an ad about this online, and I went over with my friends because my friends also saw it. So, in this seminar, they were talking about memory techniques, and also they were talking about speed reading, and as well as how you can improve your focus and how you can improve your concentration. Now, for people like me who is an academic, or for students as well, or those who are involved in jobs wherein you have to really retain a lot of information, this is really something that would be of a curiosity, and this would be something that might probably interest most uh, within those types of jobs or those types of activities, like students, for example, they're taking exams. So most likely, I think memory techniques would really help. Um, so I'm not really new to memory techniques as well as speed reading, but I will tell you my experience about it. So first, with regards to super memory, so when I was still 13 years old, yeah, I came across into this uh, advertisement on TV. It was actually one of those TV shopping ads which sometimes run for 30 minutes, and it was titled, what was it titled about? It was titled Memory Power, and of course, I will tell you this because these are really one of my favorites. So, Memory Power was like a program that was, of course, something that I cannot afford at that time. However, I came across a book titled The Memory Book by Harry Lorraine and Jerry Lucas, which I think is a book that has been there for quite some time. And at that time, internet wasn't that common yet, so I I read this book instead of buying the program because I can't really afford that program, which consists of booklets, and as well as it was still tapes at that time, like VHS tapes, and it was about mnemonics and memory techniques. And how these memory techniques work is that you will be able to remember them easily, or you'll be able to remember a list of items or whatever you really want to remember based on associating them to something that you already know, or thinking about the list in a very absurd way, or if when it comes to numbers, you use the phonetic system. So basically, if there's a long list of digits, you use the phonetic system in a way that you can form words out from them. And it did work for me, like when it comes to exams, and if the quizzes or tests were about enumerations or identification, it was really quite easy because it was just really merely more on just really absorbing the information and just answering what is being asked. I mean, there's not much thinking involved in those types of tests, so it was quite useful for me uh, at that time. And of course, in the seminar, they won't really reveal to you how they would do it. In that seminar that I attended, there was a demonstration by the speaker about remembering a long list of digits. And it's just really also to amaze everyone about how their program would work. And as well as there was also a student in the room, or a previous student from that program that they were selling about, um, who also demonstrated the memory techniques in a way that the audience were to say a list of items, and it was around, I think, 1 to 20, 1 to 15 a list of 15 items, and then it went further to 20. And she was asked to remember them either in random or in order or in backwards, but she was still really able to get it. So this is really kind of an amazing performance sometimes, especially if you are very new to mnemonics and memory techniques. But for me personally, I don't really know if the techniques that I have learned from the books of Harry Lorraine are the same techniques that we're going to apply. Maybe there are other techniques out there that I am not really very aware of, but I'm sure these are memory techniques. But in this seminar as well, they tried to claim that there's also, on top of the memory techniques, there's also some sort of like an activity or a technique that they can do in order to relax themselves and focus themselves, like similar to maybe meditation, but different in a way, because with meditation it takes longer. But for this, you could probably just relax in a minute or two. That I'm not very aware about what kind of technique that is, but probably would be very, very helpful as well. So I can't say much about the learning how to focus, because maybe there's some techniques out there, but for me, to focus is to basically set my mind that this is what I want to achieve, and in addition to that is basically just having a goal, a list of goals or objectives in my head. Then I can focus on the task that I need to really finish. Now, aside from mnemonics and memory techniques, there are also other techniques for learning that you can use. I have encountered a book about mind mapping by Tony Buzan, and I think mind mapping is not quite new to most people. They have probably been exposed to this when they were in university. Sometimes this is introduced in universities, like when you study functional skills, it can be embedded into there, or like if the within the your university modules they embed like study skills, learning how to read, learning how to study. Sometimes they do include about mind mapping, but yeah, mind mapping helps maybe for some people. For me, I do use it, but I don't use it all the time. But with regards to memory techniques, the mnemonics that I have, or the mnemonic techniques that I have learned from the books from Harry Lorraine, they have been helpful for me, but um, I haven't been using it quite lately because sometimes it really needs creativity as well. I'm not saying that we are not creative, but you need to have that kind of component wherein you have to be imaginative, which is good if you use it, because at least that part of you will be enhanced. But yeah, so it really needs creativity, and I don't know. I just really stopped using it. When I still use one part of it, which is association or the link system. And what this link system is that if you are going to memorize a list of items, you're going to make a story out of them. So there's like a link, and you think of each item in a very absurd and yeah, weird way that one item and the other item can connect to each other. So sometimes I do use that, but I haven't been using it all the time. And because what I do right now is that when I read a piece of information, I just really try to understand it. And being an academic, it's very, very important for me to not just really memorize. Sometimes I don't even memorize stuff. It's more really on understanding the content, and yeah, understanding the content and making sure that I am able to explain them in my own words. And at the same time, I need to also ensure that my explanations are easy to understand. So that has been my focus when it comes to studying. But then again, yeah, so that's books by Harry Lorraine. If you want to really check it out, would be really good. It's not that expensive. I think I bought that when I was in the Philippines. I bought that for I think it was just 100 pesos. So that's just less than $5 if I was to convert it at that time. And there's one thing as well that was introduced into this seminar, which was the concept about speed reading. Now, I have tried speed reading before. I have engaged myself in speed reading programs. However, this is just my personal experience. After all the practices, not really all the practices, I didn't really complete it. So instead of the practices or the whole practice period to be around 4 weeks, I only finished 2 weeks. I just felt tired at the time. I was also, I think, well, I was also 13 years old at that time. So I was very, very interested into all these mind techniques and super learning. I have read books about this before, even at such a young age. But I tried speed reading, and in my personal experience, it didn't really work well for me. So for that 2 week period, I kind of stopped. I kind of gave up, and I don't know. But this is just my experience. So maybe one part of it could be that I did not really follow the techniques properly. But if there's somebody out there who's watching this who has tried speed reading and is using speed reading right now and is really working, you could probably message me or hit a comment, and that would be really great. I would really like to get in touch with anybody out there who can speed read. And I know in that seminar, some of the individuals who were a part of the business, or those who were part in selling the the course, can speed read. Well, they claim that they can speed read, but it's really different when you are talking to a person who isn't marketing the thing. Because if you are marketing speed reading and if you're selling it, then definitely you would always say that it works. So it would be nice if I can hear to another individual who's not selling any type of training about speed reading, but can really speed read. Now, I want to tell you about what speed reading is, based on my understanding and based on my experience on that 2 week journey that I had with the practices. So the key concept here is that it's really about reading in a very different way. When we read, I think we were taught the old-fashioned way, which I still use now. I mean, that's what they say. It's the old-fashioned way. When you read, you recite one word at a time. Either you recite it by mouth, or even if you don't use your mouth, even if you don't vocalize the words, so you may recite it in your head, and they call this subvocalization. Now, the problem with subvocalization is that this slows you down. So even if you want to read faster, there's always that limit, and the limit is going to be how fast you can speak, or even if you speak in your head, how fast you pronounce the words in your head. That's basically your limit, because we're pronouncing each word. And there's always that fixation that occurs, wherein your eyes stop from one word or sets of words at a time. Now, the concept of speed reading is to be able to see the words in a very swift mode. Some people claim that they can read 700 words per minute, or sometimes like a page for a few seconds. So they finish basically a book or several books in a day. I mean, this is for some people who claim that they are able to speed read, and you can watch a lot of this in YouTube, in which when you type speed reading, there are really a lot of videos about it. And on top of that, one thing I want to add as well is that with reading, the average reader, like average reader, those that don't really speed read, or those who hasn't learned the concept of speed reading, we just read around 250 to 300 plus words a day. And research has shown, well, according to things that I've read and as well as on YouTube, when you search about speed reading, they say that the more, or those who read faster tend to comprehend much better. So the claim for speed reading is that because they read at such high speeds, they're able to remember most of what they've read. And the benefits to this is that it definitely reduces their time for reading. So in a way that it also increases their free time, or they have more time to do what they want because the reading time is cut in half, and if not, really uh, cut 4 times. It really depends on how the improvement is. So speed reading was also introduced into the seminar, and um, for me, I'm kind of skeptical right now, but could be also because in my experience, I did it in a very wrong way. I'm still really open to it, but at the end of the day, I haven't really uh, I haven't really purchased the program that they were trying to introduce in that seminar, because for me, I don't know. I mean, being a person who has read about mnemonics and also a person who has experienced speed reading, um, there are information out there that I could read. Of course, it will take time because you do have to research about it. But for me, the mnemonics and memory techniques that I've read from Harry Lorraine have really worked well. So all I need to do is just really um, practice onto that. But with regards to speed reading, I would really like to hear more information from individuals who are able to speed read, and I can probably say some products out there, but about speed reading because I have really searched about this before. I mean, it was kind of my interests before, like reading about super learning, how to improve memory, how to improve reading speed, but I choose not to because sometimes with these products, when you look at it online, when you look at the YouTube, there are so many claims that it really works like this and that, and it really works well. But I don't know. I think it's best to really speak to a person who knows how to speed read, and I think also one way would be to test the person, like allow the person to read the book at a given amount of time and then try to question, because that's the way on how you can also test the comprehension, because people can just claim that they know how to speed read, but for me, having experienced speed reading myself or practicing, then didn't really work for me. So I'm still really kind of skeptical, but still really open to it. So yeah. So I think that's the what I wanna say about mnemonics or super memory and speed reading. And I know there can be or there could be a lot of different techniques out there that I haven't mentioned, and um, with regards to these techniques, it just really changes your perception about studying, in that there are so many ways on how you can study effectively, and one of them is using these various techniques, and it's just really up to us to really explore how to really, uh, or yeah, just really explore about the techniques or new techniques out there that would really work well with our studying or in absorbing information or in basically uh, in our functioning in day-to-day life, whether it's going to be in the office, at work, or knowing where the car keys are. So yeah, it's just really an interesting topic about when we talk about this super learning thing, because I think it really improves you, not just in the areas of making sure that you get high scores in examinations or impress your boss or an audience because of how well you remember the speech, but I guess it also improves you as a person in a way that you remember the names of people much easily if you use these techniques. And yeah, just really be very good in conversations as well, especially when you are tasked to be in a to talk in a meeting. So it would really help people that much. So there you have it. That's super memory and speed reading, and my experience into that seminar, which was just really an introductory seminar, but it was really kind of still interesting, though it wasn't really that new to me about these techniques, but I'm sure the audience out there, for those that were just recently exposed about the world of supermemory and speed reading, I'm sure they were really fascinated into that event. Thank you very much. You've been listening to Nurse Talks, a podcast about nursing, academics, study skills, health, and social care. Don't forget to follow, subscribe to Nurse Talks on Spotify, YouTube, or Facebook. Thank you for listening.